Whoa, haven't been so live. Whoa, haven't been so. Me and Chris have been away for months. We haven't done this for very long. But now we're YouTube live, and so we want to say to you that we will be live for the longest time. So that's what that was.
We haven't been live for the longest time.
So welcome to the Rich Alvarez live stream. I'm, of course, your host, Rich Alvarez. With me, as always, is Chris.
Hello. And by the way, can you guys put a 1 in the chat if you can hear us? Because every time we haven't streamed for a while, I'm always worried that you can't hear anything. So 1 in the chat if you can hear us. And if you guys don't put a 1 in the chat, then I'll assume we can't hear us. Oh, good.
You know, often these days
Dynamite.
we get so busy with life and all of its faculties. But the one thing that we do know, I mean, I guess we did, the last time we streamed would have been SAC Anime Winter. But we wanted to stream on so many occasions, including the Switch 2 announcement, and we're like, yeah, let's stream, and then life happens. But we are here, and we're going to bundle everything that we can think of today.
All the interesting stuff that's happened in the past month or two
or
in
at least
a casual just chatting stream.
Or at least all the things that I think are still relevant-ish. So we will first be going over the Switch 2, which, again, there's not a whole lot of information about it. I think we're still waiting for an official Nintendo Direct deep dive on that. But all we really have is that cool teaser that's just like, you get a Switch, use the biggest Switch. And then like we'll be talking about some of the movies that we're looking forward to, as well as some other things. As usual, if you have a suggestion on specifically anything that you would like us to talk about, we have the super chat option. And Chris, oh wait, do we not have the sound?
So the sound,
I forgot to even
used to work, and then it stopped working. And I know it's going to take me a really long time to troubleshoot, so I've just kind of been putting it off. So no robot reading your voice. We will personally read your super chats if you desire to super chat.
We will personally. I mean, we should be personally reading the super chats anyway. But yeah, no more fun robot super chat guy. Instead, we will be reading your super chats and giving you a mighty virtual pat on the back and a thank you. Anyway, so yeah. So, Chris, before we get deep diving into the Switch 2 and all the other things, is there any micro topics you wanted to talk about?
Micro topics. I guess I would just say thank you to everybody who is watching us. I see we've got Dynamite, Paul, Tim, Christina, and McKinley, as well as Sam. So thank you everybody who has joined us today. Be sure to give this video a like if you haven't already. It looks like we got about 18 or so people watching. So we appreciate you for tuning in to watch us on short notice.
There are 18 people watching, Chris. That means we should have 18 likes. Guys, all you have to do is that revolving thing that moves in front of you, that's called a mouse. You track it over your mouse pad, or if you don't have a mouse pad, perhaps it's just on your desk, and you just move it casually over to the thing that looks like a thumb, and then you click it.
And what about those who are watching on a phone?
And if you're watching on a phone, just find the thumb and hit it.
And that's the like tutorial by YouTube's Rich Alvarez.
All right. Well, if there's nothing else, without further ado, here is our main topic for today. That's right, the Switch 2. Chris, what did Nintendo learn?
Nintendo learned they can count to 2. But for real, this is actually an important topic. Did you want to explain, or did you want me to explain it?
So here's the funny thing. Across all of Nintendo's console history, the closest thing that we can even say to what a sequel title might be was the Super Nintendo.
Yeah.
Because there's the Nintendo, then there's the Super Nintendo. And of course, when the N64 came out, they weren't going to call it the Mega Nintendo, because that would start to get redundant and, whatever after a while. So they called it 64 because, of course, it was a 64-bit graphic engine. Silicon graphics. And then that, begot the GameCube, begot the Wii, begot the Wii U.
And I guess, I have a lot to say about the Wii U, but that would be the other one that they sort of kind of quasi-titled it a sequel, but not really.
So, yeah, and then we got the Switch, and then finally the Switch 2, which makes a lot of sense. It says exactly what it is. It is the next Switch console. It's the next Nintendo console. Why they weren't doing this from the beginning, I'll never know. It's something that Sony figured out very early. Yeah, just put a 2 on the back of it.
At the end of the day, Sony really got the naming down. It's you've heard that acronym KISS, keep it simple, stupid. It's just PlayStation 1 through 5. But I'm really happy that Nintendo did this because you guys have probably heard us talk about this before. But recap, when Nintendo announced the sequel to the Wii and we got the Wii U, even me being a pretty diehard Nintendo fan, when I first saw pictures of it and I saw Wii U and I saw the little tablet, I thought it was just an add-on to the console.
Yeah.
I didn't even realize it was a sequel until later. So at first glance, terrible marketing. So this
a
time-
lot of people thought that the screen peripheral was just a new peripheral that
Just
went
to add
to
on.
the Switch.
Yep.
Or the Wii. They didn't realize that Wii U was an entirely different thing. So just bad marketing, bad
I'm
naming.
Very happy that Nintendo learned their lesson because I thought that the Wii U era, I mean, yes, there were some good games during that era, but I definitely think it was like kind of a low point for Nintendo. And then the Switch has, been one of their best consoles of all time. So calling it the Switch 2 is really so simple, but so brilliant from marketing. And I'm glad they did it.
I just, they put out if you haven't seen it, look up, Switch 2 reveal. Nintendo put out their little 2-minute video showcasing what it looks like. And I just love, because we were just watching it again a minute ago to refresh our minds on everything. And I just love how you can almost commentate directly with it, because it's like, shows the Switch. I'm like, you've seen the Switch, but now, click, it's bigger. Whoop. And the Joy-Cons, whoop, are sexier. Like, that's the kind of voice I was doing.
And the battery lasts longer.
It lasts longer.
And the screen is brighter.
It's brighter.
And the Joy-Cons are literally drifting.
Now with a graphics engine that doesn't suck. Probably. Look, I don't know.
Well, I mean, Nintendo
It's better.
is more on the games than the graphics, but it is what it is. But anyway, so point is, we're excited. It's supposed to come out at some point in 2025. So your predictions in terms of the month, you had a pretty good guess.
I think that, if it's coming out this year, as they say, then, probably late October or November to try to get it in so that plenty of time for parents to buy the Switch consoles for their kids
Upcoming
before it
holidays,
comes out,
yeah.
And for nerds like me, we might just be, getting it on Amazon pre-order.
Yeah, well, I mean that, or show up to GameStop at 6 a.m.
Well, they don't really do that anymore.
Do they not even do that
No,
anymore?
they don't allow you to
Yeah,
even
just
do
get
that
it.
anymore. Fun fact, when the original Wii came out in 2006, Chris and I waited in line at Best Buy for
2 nights.
2
3
nights.
days.
3 days, 2
2
nights. In our Mario costumes, by the way.
No less.
And that was a whole year
before Stupid Mario Bros, yeah.
We already had the costumes because, as we've explained at nauseum in the past, we made those costumes for a Halloween party. And it was like literally a month later, we were then in line at Best Buy with those said costumes. And people thought we were crazy. I think we made it on the local news, too. It's like, these idiots in their Mario costumes.
And the funny thing is, there's a private video on our channel that I think we randomly watched during a stream where we did basically we had a ton of pictures that we took and we turned it into like a slideshow. So the footage exists out there.
Yeah.
But anyway, getting back to the Switch 2. So you had an interesting observation about the Mario Kart footage that was shown in one of those reveal trailer things. Did you want to talk a little bit about that? Like what your observations were?
I mean, I've seen a lot of people talk about this too, and so we won't do a huge deep dive because you can get that from, so many other channels. But I'll just say that I do find it interesting that everybody's kind of assuming that it's Mario Kart 9 because in the game footage that they showed us, there's a lot of things like new tracks, and they show that there's 24 place markers on the track instead of the traditional 12, meaning you can have more people. It kind of is like hinting at a bigger online environment, perhaps. So whether or not it's like Mario Kart 8 Deluxe or
Deluxe.
Mario Kart 9 has yet to be seen. I have a feeling that unlike the Switch 2, they might do away with the numbers. I predict that this will be called like Mario Kart All-Stars, or not, you know what I mean, like
or
something
new Mario
like
Kart,
like new Mario Kart,
Mario
Kart Triple Dash. I don't know.
Triple Dash, that's pretty good. But I am pretty excited for it because you said how many? 24? Is that how many you counted?
I saw 24.
Yeah.
That's too many. That's too many racers on the track.
I have to say,
think.
being able to play Mario Kart online with 24 people would be really fun.
Really
for
chaotic,
both races
though.
and battles. Super chaotic.
Shells
but
everywhere.
I'm feeling pretty optimistic about it. And the other thing that I really like is that there's going to be backward compatibility both for cartridges and for your digital games, which is so nice because the Switch has been such a great console for so many games that have come out that have been really, really good. So knowing that we'll be able to play those, all the money you spent on the digital and the physical copies, that you can just pump them into your Switch too, is really, really good to know.
Most of them.
Most of them. Oh yeah, there was.
So it does say, like, I forget where it was. One of the promotions for it said backwards compatible with most Switch games. So I'm thinking that the only Switch games that wouldn't be compatible are things that either use like a special, graphic engine that was unique to the graphic engine of the Switch and therefore cannot be ported. That could mean so many things, right? That's pure speculation. The most important thing is I think games like 1-2 Switch, like silly little promo games that came out with the Switch that should have been free with the Switch, but you had to pay for them anyway. They won't work with the Switch 2 probably because since the Joy-Cons have a different sensitivity and are built differently, it wouldn't, so the 1-2 Switch, like all the motion control stuff is different. So some of those older games that relied specifically on the exact sensitivity of the original Joy-Con might not work. That's what I'm assuming anyways.
Yeah. But long story short, I'm feeling pretty optimistic about the Switch 2. And it's kind of funny because we've probably talked about our thoughts on the Switch before, but just to recap, I was pretty bummed with the Wii U era, even though I liked the Wii era, and I didn't actually pre-order a Switch. Rich did, and he got it on like day one. And I didn't, and there was a shortage of Switches, so I had to do so much scouring. I was on those like inventory websites where it would like track like which stores might have it. Didn't really help. And I ended up having to go to a GameStop at 6 a.m. on like a rando Wednesday to get mine. And the reason I got it was because Rich kept on sending me videos of how amazing Breath of the Wild was. Rich was like, look at this new Zelda. It's so good. I bet you wish you got it, Chris. So it was kind of funny because before I even owned a Switch, I had a copy of Breath of the Wild and I had a Joy-Con controller and I had the guide to Breath of the Wild, but I didn't have a physical Switch console because those were so hard to get. So the moral of the story is, if you want to get a Switch 2, you might want to pre-order it because usually there are shortages.
I say the moral of the story is Rich is a bad friend.
No, if anything, you're a good friend because you persuaded me to get it, and I've freaking loved it. In fact, when they released the Switch 2, it just got me feeling nostalgic about when the Switch came out. So
Don't worry, everybody. All 6 Switch games that you care about will be playable on the Switch 2.
But
I can count them on one and one finger.
Obviously, the go-to is Breath of the Wild because I recently started jumping back into Breath of the Wild again just because of how freaking good that game was. I didn't play Tears of the Kingdom. I heard that it was pretty good, but if you want to play Zelda, just play Breath of the Wild again. But like I said, I haven't played Tears of the Kingdom. But anyway, Breath of the Wild was so freaking good. And I jumped back in and I was playing it again. It was amazing. So I'm excited to see what new games come out for the Switch 2 because Nintendo did a heck of a job for the Switch. Like, there were some amazing games. And I have not enjoyed a console that much since the GameCube era. Like, the GameCube era was probably the last time that I spent like that many hours of my life lost in those Nintendo games. So yeah.
The GameCube era, I think, was at least the beginning of the GameCube era was, I believe, the last time that Nintendo actually cared about competing with the rest of the gaming world as far as, graphics, physics, and everything else. You might remember that the original Resident Evil 4, and I have to say, I know that's kind of a weird oxymoron because original 4, but, they remade Resident Evil 4 last year or the year before. And of course, it didn't go to the Switch because the Switch couldn't handle it. Although Resident Evil 4 back in 2004 was a GameCube exclusive title.
Wow.
So like it could handle Resident Evil 4. It'll be interesting to see if the Switch 2 can then handle games like the remake of Resident Evil 4, bringing it full circle. Or if there's any planned exclusives on the Switch 2 that aren't Nintendo published games. Because again, like Capcom was huge. And that was kind of a carryover because of course, during the Super Nintendo era, that was the best, really, I think the best place to play games like, the X-Men games and the Street Fighter games, Capcom exclusive games on Nintendo. It's like Capcom and Nintendo was like, I don't know, wine and cheese. And that's kind of, of course, during that time, Squaresoft as well, now Square Enix, was also pretty exclusive to Nintendo. Both Capcom, Square, Konami, these are huge companies that ended up almost entirely fleeing to Sony, on the PlayStation. So it'll be interesting because I mean, I was kind of joking, but not really when I said the 6 games you care about for the Switch, because I love Breath of the Wild. I love Super Mario Odyssey. I love Mario Kart. And then I kind of like a few other games, like those are like...
I'll add in a few others that I like. Animal Crossing was really fun. I enjoyed that. And then I personally really enjoyed Splatoon 2 and Splatoon 3, specifically Salmon Run. The Mario Party games were fun.
So those are fun,
and,
with groups, yeah.
Oh, well, there were some remakes. I mean, we had a lot of fun playing Mario RPG, the remake. That was pretty good.
That's good.
I don't know if that counts because it's remaster remake, but...
redundancy.
Yeah,
redundancy.
but I did really enjoy streaming that with you. That was fun, and I'm sure there's others that we're forgetting. But it had a pretty good lineup.
It's decent, but it's like, again, it's like if I was like, on a desert island, and that's always the case, right? And for some reason, there's working electricity with a TV and a Switch, and they said you can only have 10 games. I'd be like, well, I can think of like 6, but I'm struggling to figure out what the other 4 are.
I mean,
I guess I'll take Smash Bros.
Rich, I think you really just need 2, Skyrim and Minecraft.
Yeah,
what else
true.
is there?
What else is there? I mean, that's all I ever play. That's all I ever play. In fact, for the last 2 years, I have played 10 minutes of other games that weren't Skyrim or Minecraft. It's true. It's literally true.
I mean, that's how it is for me. Like, I've just been playing Classic World of Warcraft, and they just keep on releasing fresh servers. Like, it's been that. And then what else have I played?
Man, I would love to deep dive and just talk I would have a nightly stream where I just talk Minecraft and Minecraft mod nonsense, but I've done Minecraft streams on the channel and they've kind of done okay, but I don't think anybody cares about Minecraft on this channel. Prove me wrong somehow.
Sam remembered a game you played.
Oh, that's right. Final Fantasy Rebirth, the sequel to Final Fantasy VII Remake, which was actually dope as hell. That was really good, really good. And it's like, I can't wait for the third one whenever they decide to drop that. There was a 3.5-year gap between remake and remake. I want to still call it Remake Part 2, but it is Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Anyways.
Before we go to the next topic,
thank you, Sam.
I did actually just want to get a vibe check on what people are playing right now. So for those of you in the chat right now, what game are you playing right now? Because the last game I played was actually Breath of the Wild. I've been playing it over the weekend just because thinking about the Switch 2 got me nostalgic about Switch 1. So I've personally been playing...
wait.
Pause that thought.
We have a super chat. You have a super chat from Dynamite for 2 Australian I'm trying to be the robot. Thank you, Dynamite. We really appreciate that. Dynamite's question is, what is your least favorite SMB season to record?
Now, Dynamite, I appreciate your super chat, but why you got to make it a negative question? Why wasn't it your most favorite? Why ask it least favorite?
That's actually a really good question.
But thanks for the super chat.
Despite it actually coming out in the end really good, I would say that the most, at least what immediately came to mind, was Season 3, because technically we filmed Season 3 1.5 times. Because there was this fear, and I don't remember exactly what brought it on. You were afraid at one point, Chris, that you might not have time to do any more after Season 3, remember? Because you were going to college or whatever. Whatever, schooling. And so we had actually filmed, I remember we filmed an ending where we all go down the warp pipe and go back to the Mushroom Kingdom.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Yeah, you forgot about that, didn't you? And that's also where the missing episode came from with Scott and everything. That's right. I actually did upload that episode as the missing episode, but there was way more we filmed besides that. But as you can tell, and the Scott episode was the best of the bunch, it wasn't very good. If you look back, it's it's kind of funny because Scott's yelling at us again. But there was a lot where it's I looked back at Season 3 and I said, it isn't good. So I had to talk with Chris and I said, I know that you might not be able to do anymore once you go to insert school name here. But, I was just what if you find time? What if you want to come home on the weekends or something and we'll film Season 4 or whatever? We hadn't quite thought of the movie yet at that time. This was before that. So I said, instead of ending it at 3, let's just do it with a cliffhanger as usual and make it the best we can. And that's when it was okay, so I took the first 3 or 4 episodes of season 3 still worked. But then I had to create this completely different ending. And that's where we started to get things like the Nilra Merlin, the darkness showed up, and then I had this whole interlude that goes into what eventually became the stupid Mario movie. But that is not what was planned at the beginning. What was planned is that the show was supposed to end. So because there was a lot of, without getting too personal about a lot of things, there was a lot of stuff going on in the background, but it was a very frustrating season to film because of the back and forth, and ultimately I think that the end result speaks for itself. It got people really pumped for the Super Mario movie, but it was probably my least favorite to film. I think that one that is not everyone's favorite season, but was definitely my favorite season of film was probably season 4. I love season 4 so much because I know like people didn't like it because they didn't have their powers because they lost them in the movie or Blindstorm or whatever. But I love filming Stupid Mario season 4 just because it gave us a chance to kind of go back to being funny again without having to be like all actiony. And, it's just like, killing Paulino with the chocolate and, all of the little just goofy gabs and dark humor. I loved it. I don't know, Chris? So I talked for a long time.
No, it's fair. You know what? Fair question. And again, thank you, Dynamite, for the super chat. I would say I have to think about, to answer what was my least favorite, I have to think about what was my favorite. And I would say this. When I think of my favorite memories, it was filming season 2 and filming the movie. And the thing that made them special was we filmed them during summer. And back then we were like in school. So summer break was basically unlimited free time. Most of us, if we had a job, it was like a part-time thing at Starbucks. So it wasn't like, a 9-to-5 career. So there was a lot of free time. So to answer your question, I think my least favorite to film was actually season 5. And it's not because I was unhappy with how it turned out. I actually think that the ending is amazing. It was because we filmed during winter, because by that point in our lives, most of our friends were starting to get jobs or get in serious relationships. We were out of school. So we had to rush it during the holidays. And that was stressful. So it turned out good. But because we rushed it during winter when people were in town, it was just more stressful to film. So I would say it was really cold outside. So I would say that's what made it my least favorite to film, just because there was kind of a time pressure and it was no longer like, hey, we're just goofing around with our friends. It was, oh man, we got to get this done while people are still in town and we got to coordinate a schedules.
And I know that like for some of us too, especially like at the time, like Matt and I also, I won't blame Chris's schooling completely. Like there was also like me and Matt were also like wondering if we wanted to move on from Stupid Mario, if we wanted to try something else. And eventually we just, we kind of just accepted our Charlie Chaplin fate, and we're like, we're just known for this one thing. Let's just keep doing this one thing, plus YouTube news on the side when we can.
But ultimately, though, I am really happy that we were able to finish the series on a high note. I mean, to this day, I still think that we like really nailed the ending, which I'm happy about. But good question, and thank you again for the super chat. Really appreciate it.
Wow, that super chat answer went so long that I don't even remember.
Oh, don't worry, I remember. I had before we were talking about the Switch, but I had a question, and because I really was curious what you guys were playing. So I'm only going to be able to read the ones that are still visible in the chat. But in terms of what people are playing, so Super Retro World is doing Mario and Luigi Brotherhood. Zephos is playing Baldur's Gate 3.
You're welcome, Dynamite.
Nitsao Gamer is playing Majora's Mask. And then a few other games, and MFE Studios is doing Tears of the Kingdom. What was the last game that you played, and was it Minecraft?
I was just playing Minecraft. I was playing Minecraft this morning.
Yeah, I was playing Breath of the Wild yesterday.
That's what I'm talking about. Like, if I streamed every time I played, it would be like 5 hours of content every day. And like, I would love to have a show where I'm just like talking about it or like showing off all the mods that I use. Other people, like, they'll be like, here's this mod and here's this mod, and they get like millions of views. And I'm just like, these guys aren't even playing the mods, like they're just like showing other people's footage of the mods. I could actually show you what these mods do in depth. Wouldn't you love a 2-hour video all about the frog mod? No? Okay.
Goodness gracious. Hey, if you ever want to, we can figure out the logistics, but if you ever wanted to do a Minecraft stream, I am not good at Minecraft, but I really actually enjoy watching you play it. So if you ever wanted to do a duo... Oh, did I miss something?
Oh, I'm laughing at all the things that Sam says. She said lol frog mod. She also said big city college university for your school.
Oh, yeah. Without going into too many personal details, jumping back a couple topics, I almost went to a college that was far away. And then near the last minute, I changed my mind and went to one that was local. And I'm really happy I did, because Rich and I were still able to do Super Mario Bros. For years. And that was so fun. And some of my favorite memories are us just, making the YouTube videos. But anyway, it all worked out. All right, Rich, what's next?
No, just Sam reminded me they can play. Yeah, you can give flutes and guitars to the frogs, and they'll play it.
See, I don't. We're just gonna have to do a Minecraft stream so Rich can go over all that stuff.
Okay.
But anyway, so with that said, just as a quick recap, so far we have talked about the Switch 2 rumors and hopes and features that we know of so far. We talked about Super Mario Bros. And favorite and least favorite seasons, why and why not. And then we've been talking about some of the games that people are playing. So for those of you just tuning in, and thank you for jumping in, be sure to give this video a like if you haven't already. And we have an impressive 35 people watching right now. So we're going to move along with a few more topics. If at any point you have a super chat, they're very much appreciated. So feel free to throw a super chat in, and we'll talk about pretty much whatever you want to talk about.
If you have any more questions about the Switch 2 or want our opinion, that's what the super chat is for.
So, moving along, what would you like to talk about next? And
I would like to
movie related?
Yeah, I would like to talk about movies. And before I deep dive into all things Marvel, I want to say that one of my favorite movies of all time, might even be my favorite movie of all time, is Jurassic Park. I love Jurassic Park so much. And one of the things that I loved about it as a kid is that, and as a kid, up and through basically college years, I was an avid novel reader as well, and my favorite author was Michael Crichton, who wrote Jurassic Park. The Jurassic Park book and movie are completely different. And, and a book snob might be like, the movie's so different, because it seems like these days, if things aren't adapted like 100%, people just bitch and complain, and fine, whatever. But there's something to be said about the way that Spielberg made his movie. And that's why he had his friend David Coop write the screenplay. So Michael Crichton came in, Michael Crichton did a draft of the screenplay that was very close to his book, and then David Coop came in and then redid the screenplay for Spielberg in mind. And then we have Jurassic Park, the film. So I have to start there because it's important for when I swing back. But I'll just say this. I love Jurassic Park, the book and the movie. They're very different. Characters are, the motivations are different, blah, 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 blah. But it is a horror movie, but also an adventure movie. And just so spectacular. The CGI for 1993, most of it still holds up pretty good, I'd say. It's really great. So anyways, now we have Jurassic World Rebirth, the new Scarlett Johansson movie coming out, and it feels kind of like a return to task, if you will. Because I didn't hate the Jurassic World trilogy with Chris Pratt. I actually really enjoyed Jurassic World. It was more fun and goofy than I want Jurassic Park to be, but it was still good. The sequels got a little bit worse for me as they go. I didn't hate them, but it's by the time you got to the end where like dinosaurs are all over the world, it didn't really feel like Jurassic Park anymore. It was Jurassic World. So what's great about this new Jurassic World Rebirth is they got David Coop to come back and do the screenplay. But not only that, he was tasked with making it feel more like Crichton-esque content. So what do we see? And if you haven't seen the trailer, go see the trailer. Because, it's Scarlett Johansson is hired with her team of mercenaries to go to an island because at this point, they're still acknowledging that dinosaurs were all over the world, but now they're kind of dying off and they can only survive on this very specific island for mysterious purposes. So it's like, team of mercenaries, an island, survival. It's like, that's Jurassic Park, not like, oh, let's get the camcorder out and film these triceratops. No, it kind of goes back to what Jurassic Park really is, at least for me. And just like, they're trying to extract dinosaur DNA because it might cure human illness. It's just like very, very Crichton-esque, if you will. It does also seem to borrow a lot of elements from his sequel novel, because there are two. The second one is The Lost World, but it's even more different from the Lost World movie than the first book was to Jurassic Park. It seems to borrow a lot of elements from the Lost World book as well. And the trailer even teased the T-Rex like scooping in them, trying to get them out of the water. That was a scene in the original book that was cut from the movie because they didn't know how to do it, but now we can do it.
That's cool.
I'm a super Michael Crichton fanboy. I'm a Jurassic Park fanboy. This trailer looks awesome to me. Jurassic Park X Predator. I don't know, not gonna happen. But I'm really excited for it. I couldn't be more overjoyed. Chris?
Yeah, I'm not as big of a Jurassic Park fan as Rich, but I do enjoy the series. And before we jumped on the stream, Rich showed me the trailer, and I do have to say it does feel a little bit more like a return to form. And I agree with you. I like the idea of them being on an island as opposed to like the whole world is taken over, because it feels more like, I don't quite know how to explain it. Like the stakes are higher. It's a little bit more of that like classic feel. But it looks really cool. I'm definitely excited, and it's going to come out sometime in the summer. So it's going to be one of those like really fun summer blockbusters. So I'm excited. I think it's going to be great. And, I think you had, I don't know if you had gone into detail on this, but you had talked about how every time they like would make a film, it would kind of change. And then they did the soft reboot, and then it started really strong. And then it kind of, like, did you want to talk about?
I said that already.
You already did? Okay. Sorry. I guess I was distracted.
Yeah,
reading
and
the
again,
chat.
this movie isn't ignoring the Chris Pratt movies. It's acknowledging them, but also it's like, but forget about all that, you know.
All right, so here we went over. Sorry.
There's all that, and yes, Sam says at least once a day I hear a Jurassic Park comparison. It's from Rich though. That's kind of the end all. But all right, so that's all I wanted to say about Jurassic World Rebirth, and now. I'm going to keep it as brief as I can. Here's 5 minutes or less, hopefully, of Marvel information.
Pause real quick.
Just kidding.
We got a super chat.
Hyper Himes super chatted $2. Thank you, Hyper Himes. Says, rewatched your vids. Hope you're doing well. Thank you, Hyper Himes. You know, a couple of years ago, Chris and I deep dived into a lot of our old videos, and we said,
Thank you. That's very generous of you, Hyperheims. And yeah, it's kind of funny. I was just thinking we're already halfway through the 2020s, which is kind of wild. But during the pandemic, when everything was locked down, we actually had a ton of live streams where we were going back and rewatching a lot of our old content. And a lot of that stuff I hadn't watched in years. So it is fun to go back and see like what the world was like back then and like some of the charm. In fact, one of the ones that stood out to me that I thought was funny was when we rewatched the Stupid Mario Bros. New Year's episode, when we were talking about all the stuff, because this was at the end of 2008 that we were hopeful for in 2009. It was just so funny. I was like, oh, wow. Wow, we were like looking forward to the new Transformers movie, and oh wow, yeah, we were looking forward to like a new video game that now feels like super dated.
Oh,
so
those poor bastards!
It's fun. It's fun to see a time capsule of like the movies we were into and the video games we were into. So anyway, long story short, glad you're still enjoying those old vids.
We are doing well, thank you,
and thank you for the super chat. And yes, we're doing well. All right, so transition from Jurassic Park to Fantastic
Marvel.
Four.
Okay, so again, very brief, or as brief as I can make it. So the Fantastic Four trailer finally showed up. We were wondering when it all might show up, and I'm super thrilled. I love its retro futuristic look. It looks exactly the way that I want the Fantastic Four to look. You know, we've had other versions. Whatever was going on in that, that last version, the body horror, we won't even talk about it. But then there was the 2004 movies that was really goofy. I really like the 60s aesthetic because the Fantastic Four is supposed to be Marvel's first family. Now, obviously, when the MCU started, Fox still owned the rights to the Fantastic Four, so they couldn't include the Fantastic Four in the MCU at first. But now that they have the rights back to Fantastic Four, instead of trying to shoehorn the Fantastic Four into like what's already going on in the MCU, I think it was very smart to create a pocket 60s-esque universe that the Fantastic Four can be in, so that way they are the first and only superhero team in that universe. So that way, eventually, when they get magically transported to 616 main Marvel universe, or their universe is destroyed. I mean, spoilers, Galactus is in the movie. He's in the trailer. You see his dumb helmet. I love Galactus, by the way, but his helmet has always been dumb. And he's in there. He's not a giant cloud like he was in the Tim Story movie. He's there. Galactus. I think he'll eat the planet, and somehow they'll get transported to the main universe. However it happens, we know they're coming to the main universe. But I love that the Fantastic Four get to just be the Fantastic Four without any apologies, or it's like, well, instead of stretching, Mr. Fantastic's just really smart and he stretches his mind. Because, they're not trying to ground it in reality. They're not trying, they're having it in their goofy 60s universe with their goofy 60s costumes, and it doesn't matter. It's awesome, So that's what's going on.
Yeah, Rich showed me the trailer for that also right before we streamed. And I do have to say, I love that retro futuristic look. It's like a reimagined, what'd you say, 1960s? Basically?
It's supposed to be 63, I think.
Yeah,
in the movie.
it's so interesting seeing that, like the way the cars looked. And you were saying it kind of has that Jetsons.
It has the Jetsons-esque look, yeah.
So visually, it looks great. I'm very excited for it. Even though I'm not the biggest Fantastic Four fan, I think it's just going to be like a beautiful looking film.
It does look beautiful. Yeah, and I mean, I think, a lot of people have been kind of like Marvel's not as good anymore. I mean, we've had years in comics where Marvel's comics have dipped a little bit, and then they get new writers and blippity blop. And yeah, I think there was a lot to that. I won't go into all the details, but Disney did change CEOs for a little bit. They got Bob Chapek, and then he wasn't very good, so Bob Iger came back, and apparently Chapek made it so that Feige over at Marvel had to talk to the bank before, it was very business and no creative. And so it was just pump out all this crap that, with no oversight. So Feige has his power back, and he began with having it so last year, the only Marvel movie that came out last year was Deadpool and Wolverine. And that was a hit, and that was awesome. And it would kind of gave them a little bit of a nice break to kind of reflect and look back. And now we're getting, Captain America, Brave New World, Thunderbolts. We are getting Fantastic Four, but we're also getting the return of Daredevil on television with Daredevil Born Again. I'm very much looking forward to that. I think that people will see that the quality control is back and that Marvel is going to get back up to snuff and standard.
Well said. So long story short, which are you more excited for, Jurassic Park or Fantastic Four? And I think we all know the answer.
Oh, I don't know if I know the answer to that.
I think we know.
I don't know. No.
I think I know. Come on. What's your favorite movie of all time?
I mean, here's the thing.
I'm just putting Rich on the spot.
I mean, that's true. Jurassic Park is my favorite movie of
Hold that thought. We just got another
J-Dog 730. I think I'm saying that right. The G is capitalized, so it was is it
J-Dog
G713 or is it J-Dog 713? I think I'm going to go with J-Dog. Yes, what's up, J-Dog? Thank you for your beautiful super chat, and says, love the work. Keep it up. Thank you. The work for us these days is just doing this every once in a blue moon. So I don't know if I'd call it work, but thank you. We will keep it
I really
up.
appreciate that. I'm guessing it's probably a reference to our previous work, like our lifetime work on the channel, but then liking to see us still popping in and saying hi. That's how I interpreted that. But thank you, J-Dog, and really appreciate you still watching our videos.
Yeah.
So going back to putting Rich on the spot, you're really not going to say Jurassic World?
Okay, Fantastic Four? It's not like the Jurassic Park movie has the returning cast or
You know what? That's fair.
It's
actually,
here. This is a Fantastic Four movie starting from scratch, and that makes me really.
Fair enough.
Honestly, gun to my head, Fantastic Four is probably the movie I'm more excited for. Thank you, Netsuya Gamer. Hey, Netsuya Gamer, it's been a minute. Netsu Gamer super chatted and says, what do you guys think of the recent video game movie / TV show adaptations, Mario Brothers movie, Sonic Trilogy, The Last of Us, Fallout, etc.?
That's actually a really good question.
Probably fine. I think I'm basically made my point on Marvel, so let's talk about this now.
That's a really good question.
So, yeah, I mean, obviously, for decades, the kind of the stigma was that, video game adaptations weren't very good. And to be fair, they weren't. Most of them were hot garbage.
And that's actually, real quick, one of the reasons why Stupid Mario Bros. Was such a hit, because there was such a missing gap of good live-action video game content that we were able to step in and make.
When Stupid Mario Brothers is a better adaptation.
Yeah,
something's
wrong. Well, the point was, people wanted adaptations so bad that was one of the reasons we were able to step up, because there was no. I mean, there was a Mario movie, but it was... Anyway, you get my point. That's one of the reasons why we were able to step in and fill a demand.
So I'll say this. I think that finally what happened was, back in the 80s and 90s, you got a lot of people that didn't play video games making video game movies, that didn't understand it, And, the kids at the time were, I don't think they were bringing a lot of kids into, like, what do you think about that? And, like, they weren't doing that kind of quality control. They were just, like, especially, like, the Uwe Boll movies, if you know what I mean. Like, there was, like, was it House of the Dead and whatever else he did? It's, like, I think they just were watching these. Oh, and then there was, like, the Resident Evil movies, which are so divorced from their video game story counterparts. So here's what I think. I think what happened was you got a lot of old people trying to cash in on the popularity of video games that didn't understand the video games. Now, decades later, we're finally getting the people that grew up with video games making the video game content. People like me and Chris that are more successful than me and Chris are in Hollywood making these things. I mean, really, like if you look at Jonathan Nolan, he grew up playing the Fallout games. Now he's making the Fallout series, I wasn't the biggest, this is sacrilege, I know, but I wasn't the biggest fan of the Last of Us video games. I'd rather Naughty Dog focus on like Crash Bandicoot or Uncharted. But I guess it was a good adaptation. There's a lot of stuff that's shot for shot. The Mario Bros. Movie, the recent one, I think was really good. I liked what Illumination did with it, but I won't lie, I'm still craving like a really good, deep live action Mario movie, but that's just me. At the Fallout show,
if you want that, you can watch the Super Mario Bros. Movie by RichAlvarez from 2009.
That's true. The Fallout show, I think, is the best of the list because not only does it's also within canon. Like, Todd Howard of Bethesda has said that the Fallout TV show takes place after Fallout 4. So it's even canonically within the storyline of the games, and it feels they did so much attention to detail, from the vaults to the stim packs magically healing you to like everything. The Fallout show is I would have never imagined a video game adaptation nailing it the way the Fallout show does. If you have not seen the Fallout show, see the Fallout show. It's definitely great. The Sonic trilogy, I enjoy the Sonic trilogy a lot, but I would say that those are good movies that took a lot of great stuff from the games. But I think that Sonic was always kind of a hard one to adapt because it's like, where does Sonic even take place in this weird world that, gaming zone.
I see what you mean.
Casino zone.
Yeah.
Green Hill zone. Yeah, where is this? In terms
of an adaptation, the game didn't have that much depth in terms of story, but for the movie itself, I think, or the movies, they've done a really
I think
good
they
job.
did what you could do with that character. You put him in our world, kind of what we did with Super Mario Brothers.
Yeah.
They took Sonic and put him in the real world, and, you had throw Jim Carrey in there, and it's great. I do enjoy the Sonic movies a lot.
And what I would say in terms of just the overarching theme of how do we feel about the adaptations, I think overall, Rich nailed it. They're getting better because the kids that grew up playing those games are now adults and old enough to actually make the content. And I think out of all of those, I'm biased, but in my opinion, the Mario movie was just amazing. Like, you could tell that they very, very much cared about making a movie where adults who grew up playing those games as kids could appreciate it, but at the same time, it was also a kids movie. So it was a movie for kids, but you could enjoy it as an adult. And when you can make a movie that kind of hits like both demographics like that, but it's done well, that's when you know it. And of course, they honored the source material. So I think that they're good. I really like the Mario movie, and I'm feeling like optimistic for future adaptations.
Very well said. Thank you, Ipswich Town Fan 92, who used to be known as Williams Fan 92. Thank you so much for your generous super chat. Says you guys' content was such a hit. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
I certainly enjoyed making it, and I'm glad that anybody liked it.
And thanks for still watching our videos. So appreciate you jumping in, and thank you so much for the super chat. Good stuff.
Can you do a commentary on Super Mario Season? Yeah, well, I guess we never did do commentary on Season 2, but that's okay. I'll do the commentary right now. Noxtasias! That's it.
Someday, maybe. We'll see. Anyway, well, thank you, everybody, for the super chats. If anybody else has any questions that they wanted to... All right, there we go.
Hyper Himes, thank you for your generous super chat. Says, that reminds me, like the stupid Mario Rent adventure, the quest for rent, you also had the interactive Halloween, but only the start videos public. Is that lost media? That is actually a good question. I think that... So the way that it worked... God... YouTube changed the way that annotations work. Annotations was you click on the videos on the bookend. They changed the way that worked. They've kind of come back in a way, in a different form here or there. But basically, the way that we used to do it is like with any of our interactive adventures, one video would end, it would have the bookend with the two options, and you click on one, it would take you to the next video. At some point, YouTube changed it so that you had to have these just little box things, and they were not in the same place that we like put the boxes in the video, and you couldn't do it the same way, and then you couldn't link to, like, basically YouTube ruined that, so that way the interactive adventures were broken. And I think maybe we still have some of that content on the channel privately. But actually, thank you for pointing that out, because I think maybe we should privatize that start video too. Because I don't think the Halloween adventure is very good.
Yeah, so what happened, Hyperheims, is that YouTube changed it so that any video that was unlisted got switched to private mode at a certain point, and they did that for security reasons, because I guess somebody figured out a hack to where they could find any channel's unlisted video. So a lot of our old unlisted videos just got auto switched over to private mode. So there were some videos where Rich and I were like, you know what? For whatever reason, we should make the choice to switch this to private. And then there were other videos that just got switched to private, and we never even made that decision. So I guess long story short, Rich and I could have a talk after the stream and decide if we want to switch any of those back. But a lot of those we didn't actually make the decision to; they just got auto switched. So I don't personally. I was not. I'm particularly a fan of the Halloween adventure,
but
so I don't know if we're gonna switch it back. But
obviously, we kind of had the forethought. That's why the Stupid Mario interactive adventure was turned into the Quest for Rent, where we took away, we made it a single video and took away all the options, because, we wanted to preserve the Stupid Mario interactive adventure, because I think that was the best one that we did, and we did a lot of other crappy interactive adventures that I'd rather not watch again. But
I think there were some that we really put a lot of time and effort into that, in my opinion, were like knocked it out of the park. Like, of course, there's Water Wars, and I think that the Super Mario Bros. Interactive adventure is pretty good too. I do think that at some point we were chasing that trend because that's what was really popular, but some of those were rushed. The ideas weren't as good, or in hindsight, it was kind of meh. So
we were in love with dropped. We were in love with the concept, and we wanted to keep making interactive adventures. We just weren't making them very good. I remember one particular where I think we might have privatized it way before YouTube got rid of the annotation options. There was one where Julian was a super spy, and we tried to do sort of like a James Bond
Action Explosion 4.
Action Explosion 4, I think, something like that. And it was I don't know, it wasn't very good. So we were privatize.
Yeah. So anyway, but
we made a lot of bad videos.
To answer your question, though, none of those are lost. They're all just in private mode. So because there was actually, I remember in the middle of the pandemic, there were a few videos that got moved to private mode that we didn't actually intend. So I went back and I manually moved some of those to unlisted, and we watched a few of them on stream. Like, a great example of that was the slideshow I talked about when we camped out for the Wii. That got moved unintentionally, and then we watched it just for funsies. So I think there's things like that. But yeah, those all still exist for whatever reason. Probably just because we felt like the quality wasn't that good, we moved them. But long story short, good question, and thank you for the super chat.
Right.
Now, what I was going to say is, if anybody else has any questions you want to guarantee we answer, feel free to send in a super chat. I have a couple more topics that actually I think you wanted to talk about. The Super Bowl.
Oh, right. So, I know that you guys love football. I'm not going to talk for more than a minute about this, but I just want to say that the Eagles are going to win. F the Chiefs.
So I think I have to zoom out and explain some context here.
Yeah, the superb
Ultimately,
owl.
You are a Niners fan first and foremost, right? And then a Raiders fan sometimes. Who do you actually
So historically, my family, dating back to my dad's family and beyond, Raiders fans, right? And then when I would say that more or less, like, my dad was kind of the black sheep of the family because he liked the 49ers, right? And so I had a lot of, like, I grew up with my dad watching the 49ers, and my uncles would come over and they'd give me Raiders merchandise. And, so yeah, we always root for, like, me and my dad will root for the 49ers. But if the Raiders are doing well, which most of the time they don't, then we'll root for the Raiders, sure. Love it. Alvarez football lore, Sam says.
Nice.
Now, the 49ers didn't play very well this season because they were riddled with injuries.
That's a bummer.
And didn't make it to the playoffs. So literally, I was watching the playoffs. I was rooting for any team playing the Chiefs because I want the Chiefs to go away. I want those cocky, selfish...
This is a family stream. You're just mad.
I'll be rooting for the Eagles tomorrow at the Super Bowl.
But the main thing is you're mad that the Chiefs have consistently beat the Niners, right? So this is revenge.
It's not just that. Just like every time that Patrick Mahomes wins a game, he's like, "Ooh." I want to wipe that smirk off his face.
Personally, I don't have a dog in this fight, but for Richie's sake, I will be cheering for the Eagles because I want Rich to be happy.
The Chiefs haven't even been playing well. They like get that lucky field goal at the last minute. The Eagles, by comparison, 2 weeks ago when the championship games were happening, the Eagles beat their opponent by like 30 points. It was a historic 55 to something.
Be careful. I don't want this clipped out of context.
Sam says, what do you think of Taylor Swift?
She's lovely.
Wow, Chris.
No, but what do you think of her?
I mean, listen, I don't really care for her music. I think, obviously a lot of people do. She's a pop icon, whatever. I don't really think much. She's watching right now. No, she's not. No, I mean, for what she does, I guess, she is... it's so hard to say nice things about Taylor Swift. Listen, I don't hate Taylor Swift. I don't know her, okay? I don't know her as a person. There are things that she has said in her songs that are not true, where she insinuates things about people that are not true. And she gives off the impression of, like, she wants to be, like, I don't know what it is. I don't want to talk too much about it because I don't want to say something I'm going to regret later. But all I want to say is that, I don't know. She could be a very lovely person. I don't know. I dislike so much about, how do you feel about her clout with the Chiefs? I just don't like that when we're in the middle of a football game, they keep panning over to her booth whenever Travis Kelce makes a touchdown. It's distracting from the game. It's like they, last week, 2 weeks ago, the Chiefs were playing the Buffalo Bills, who should have won that game, refs. And, they kept cutting to Taylor Swift. Meanwhile, the quarterback for the Bills is dating Haley Steinfeld, from the Marvel and from Transformers, and they never panned to her. That's all I got to say.
That's kind of funny. I'll say something nice. So I'm not the biggest Taylor Swift fan, but I will say I really enjoyed her album 1989. That was the one that came out back in, I think, 2014 that had Shake It Off and a few other songs. My favorite song by her is Style, the one We Never Go Out of Style. I really like that song because it had kind of an 80s synth-wavy feel to it. And I really like that sound of music. So I actually really enjoy that song. I haven't listened to much of her modern stuff, but every once in a while when songs from the 1989 album come out, I'm like, hey, that's pretty good. So, anyway.
Okay, I'll stop.
Thanks for the super chat, Sam. And you knew that was going to trigger Rich for a rant.
Anyways, I apologize for any of that.
Would you be okay if I gave a very brief update on anime right now?
2 minutes, Chris. 2 minutes.
I'll make it fast. So, there is a show out right now that most of you have probably heard of called Solo Leveling. And now you actually know about it because I forced Rich to watch a few episodes during my birthday. In fact, before I go into that, briefly, could you say something nice that you liked about the show now that you know it? What were your thoughts on it?
So Solo Leveling, it's kind of like a Dungeons and Dragons inspired premise, or even like MMO, but it's like there are gates that open up in the real world that people then go and fight monsters, as if like, again, like portals to dungeons from like World of Warcraft suddenly opened up in the real world, and people go and fight them, and people are given ranks. And you might think, like, why does anybody care? Because if nobody goes in and defeats the monsters in the dungeon, then after a certain amount of time they'll come into the real world and start killing innocent people. So it becomes like people's jobs to go in there and do it. It's a great premise.
Oh, good.
I'll say this. It's a great
premise.
I haven't continued to watch it. I think that, I can see why Chris likes it. I think that its execution was, I'm not going to go into details. I think that its execution for me was a little flawed, but I like the story. I like the premise. I think that there is something that you could do with that, but not that.
You know what? I appreciate that.
That's my honest answer.
And thank you, Zephos and Brandon, for the belated birthday wishes. Appreciate that. The reason I brought Solo Leveling up is because right now they're in the middle of airing season 2. So each season has 12 episodes. Sometimes there's a 13th episode, but it's like a recap episode. So it comes out every Saturday. And I was going to say, what's kind of funny is, for those of you that were kids in the 90s or 2000s, there used to be Saturday morning cartoon blocks. So before we had streaming on demand, if you wanted to watch cartoons, you had to like get up early on Saturday mornings to see what the new cartoons were going to be. So anyway, the reason I bring that up. Oh, did you want to chime in on that real quick?
Say, it's like I'm. It's so funny. Recently I've had to explain to people that were born in like the year 2000 what life was like before the internet, and I realize now it's so frustrating. They're like, wait, like I don't want to get into
specifics.
Whoa. I think I just had a minor aneurysm. I won't get into specific details, but it's frustrating because we didn't have the internet, when I was growing up. I think our first computer was like a Windows 95 or 98.
Yeah.
And even then, if we didn't have internet until like 98, 99, and it would be like, the dial up, and we would love, there was like a 5-hour wait for your favorite movie trailer to load up, Anyway. Sorry.
Thank you for sharing. I was like, why did I bring this up? Oh, yeah, right. So the point I was going to make is way back in the day, I used to get really excited as a kid and I guess as a tween and maybe an early teen for Saturday morning cartoons, mostly as a kid. So Solo Leveling, every episode comes out now in the morning on Saturdays. So every week I've been really excited for Saturday morning and I'm there on Crunchyroll ready to go. I think it comes out at 9:30 Pacific time. So it's made Saturdays really fun. But anyway, the point is, if you guys haven't seen it yet, Solo Leveling is probably my favorite anime in quite a long time. It is just super action-packed. The budget is super high for these crazy good battles. And it's just a fun premise because it kind of feels like a video game because the character, like Rich said, they go into these dungeons and they, the main character can level up and he gets new skills. It's like if you sort of combined video game with, anime, it's a fun premise. So I've been enjoying it quite a bit. And out of curiosity, for those of you watching right now, has anybody watched Solo Leveling? Is it just me? I feel like some of you have to have seen this, right? If you've seen it, comment now in the chat. And
Just Chris.
While I'm waiting for anybody to comment, there's actually quite a few anime coming out right now that I'm really enjoying.
I'll watch it because of you, Chris.
Oh, there, yeah.
What you doing, Chris? You're such a bad influence.
I mean, hey, there's a lot of good anime coming out. Okay, there we go. So Zephos has seen one episode. OmniKick said they're going to watch it today. Dynamite says, I don't watch anime. Well, you have a kindred spirit, Rich. I really thought that.
Now, listen, I don't hate anime.
I know.
It's just that anime hasn't been good in like 15 years.
I'm just giving Rich a hard time. But there's quite a few, but I recently got back into anime. So the ones I'm watching right now, obviously Solo Leveling's really good. There's a few others that I've gotten into recently that are a bit older, but I'm watching ReZero, which I probably nerded out about how that's my like favorite anime. They just picked up on season 3, so that's going really well. Another one that has a silly title, it's called That Time I Got Reincarnated as a Slime. I'm watching that one right now. That's really awesome. And then there's a new one that just started called Welcome to Japan, Miss Elf. It's a reverse isekai where this character brings a fantasy character to the real world. There's a lot of really good anime right now. So long story short, oh, there we go. Yeah, so you guys know what I'm talking about. So Zephos and OmniKick both are saying Slime is great. Yeah, I just finished season 1 of Slime. I listened to you go on and on for a while. But I guess what I'll say is this is a great time for anime. And because there were a few years where I wasn't watching anime, there's a bunch that came out that I am behind on. So I've just been binge watching a ton of anime. So I'm glad some of you guys have been watching that stuff, and anime's great.
Oh, thank you for your generous super chat, Rap Fee. Is it Rap Fi or Rap Fee? Watching Invincible? Question mark. People mad. I've seen all Invincible. I've seen the 2 seasons plus the Adam Eve special. It is my favorite cartoon right now. Actually, period. It is. It is awesome. People, I can't believe people would get mad at the end. The animation in Invincible is great. There was like a few moments that were like whatever, still better than anything Chris watches.
Nice opinion there.
That's a joke.
I know. I'm just kidding. I liked Invincible. I saw the first season and I saw the Adam Eve special. And one thing I noticed, by the way, every once in a while a new show comes out and it makes a cultural impact because there's so many memes. I still to this day see so many memes from the first season of Invincible, like the think Mark think, or the that's the great part, you don't, there's a ton of memes from the show, or like in season 2 when he's like floating out in space and he's got like the beard and he's all depressed.
Yeah.
Like there's so many memes, but I have not seen the new season 3. Oh, is season 3 out? I guess
it might have just come out. Yeah, I knew it was coming out soon. Well, it could be, and I'll look into it after the show. But perhaps it's just
did they drop the quality or something?
People had to wait like 3 years or whatever between season 1 and 2 because the show's usually really detailed. So it's possible that the quality dipped a little bit just so we could get season 3 faster. Which honestly, if my choice is wait 3 years or get it now and get it looking a little, because there was something that Chris's cousin used to say all the time, which was don't let perfection be the enemy of good enough.
Good memory.
Right?
Yeah.
That was what it was. And I took that to heart so much that for better or worse, I applied it to every aspect. So it's like, don't let perfection be the enemy of good enough. You could wait 3 years and you'll get, 5% better, or you could release it now when it's like 95% there and people can enjoy it now. Oh, it might be a little fuzzy here and there. I have no idea what quality issues they're talking about, but I'm just saying that my initial gut feeling is just like, just get it good enough. We're interested in the story of Invincible. The animation quality is a bonus. There are some really crappy looking cartoons. Like I love anime. I love Trigun. Great anime. Animation sucks. It's a great story though.
I have to say, just one of the things about Invincible.
Sorry, just laughing at what Sam said. That was into the wedding vows. Good enough.
Oh, jeez. Well played, Sam. Well played. I was going to say, as far as Invincible goes, I jumped into it not really knowing what to expect. And what's crazy is when you first watch it, I felt like I was just watching like Teen Titans or like, Cartoon Networks, like, the DC Universe stuff, Justice League. But the ending of the first episode is like, it's like, oh, I'm just watching a fun kid show. And then it's like, guess again. If you guys know, you know. So I do remember just being blown away by that first season of Invincible.
I'll answer Rapfi's last thing since Rapfi did previously super chat. Rapfi says, it's just a whole thing the internet is talking about right now. And I don't know if you're trying to be a little snippy. I think it's funny if you are. Like, it's just the whole thing the internet's talking about right now. I love that because, it's like everybody says that about a lot of things, like the whole internet. But it might not be your corner of the internet. See, I've been on the internet every day, but, it's been like Rich Eisen podcast and like who's going to win the Super Bowl and like stuff like that. Like I didn't even know that season 3 was out yet of Invincible.
Now, you listen to, who's that guy?
John Campea?
Does he talk about shows like that?
No, he doesn't talk about anime. John Campea talks about movies and television.
See, okay, so I was going to say, that's your bubble, live action.
Yeah, he's all about mostly, well, he does talk about Invincible too, but that's American television, he just doesn't talk about anime. Chris Carr, one of his co-hosts, she'll talk about anime sometimes, but very, very briefly.
Got it.
But yeah, John Campea talks about Marvel. He talks about, big movies. His whole thing this week has been about like Oscar stuff. And that's my favorite thing. I listen or watch the John Campea podcast every single day. So if you guys want to know who my favorite YouTuber is, it's probably John Campea. And I wouldn't even really consider him a YouTuber. He's a podcaster where his podcast happens to also be on YouTube. But he used to be with Collider, and previously he used to be with AMC. And then previously before that, he was with the Canadian Bulletin. He is an actual journalist. And he is going to retire in a year or two, sadly. But he is, he's been doing it for forever. I love his opinion most of the time. I don't agree with him on everything, but I love the way he explains things that even I disagree with. I think he is the best thing you could do is watch John Campea in the morning. Anyways, he's great. No, but he hasn't been talking about, for whatever reason, he's talked about Invincible in the past, but for whatever reason that hasn't come up. Maybe he'll talk about it this next week.
Well, thank you, Rap5, for the heads up on that, because you're reminding me I'm way behind. I haven't even seen season 2 yet of Invincible. So what I'll probably do is wait for season 3 to finish and then binge watch both of them. But thanks for the reminder.
Yeah, thank you, Rap5, for bringing that up. What's the little yellow guy there?
Oh, I think he's doing a thumbs up or a snap or a
I couldn't tell if he was giving us the thumbs up or flipping us off, but I was like, but thank you, Raffi, for bringing up all of that.
It looks like
I'll go watch it now.
I think it was like a thumbs up with a thing. Yeah. So anyway, there you go.
Okay. Anyways,
so now's your chance. If you guys have any final questions you want to ask us, feel free to send in a super chat. And thank you to everybody who's been super generous this stream. And thank you to everybody who tuned in and watched us. Did you have any other topics, media, games?
I know I'll think of one as soon as we're done.
as soon as we're done. Oh, I can't believe we forgot about brr, 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 brr.
Hey, Sam, what are we not talking about? We already talked about that.
That's pretty good.
Oh, Rafi says it was a thumbs
up. It has a little animation.
The little, I couldn't, those green things.
It's on a projector that
we
can't see very well.
Like a ding, kind of a thing. But I don't know. I thought it was funny either way. I thought it was hilarious. I laughed my ass off. Right here, live on TV.
It's okay, Rap5. We appreciate you. Yeah, so...
The couch sinks in quite a bit. Actually, it needs to be replaced soon.
It is pretty comfy. I'll give you that. But yeah, this seems like it's going to be a pretty good year for movies. We've got Jurassic Park. We've got Fantastic Four. Are there any other big movies coming out?
I'll tell you.
What about Superman?
I'll tell you a video game that I'm really looking forward to, and I can't remember the exact release date. Hopefully, chat knows. Avowed, which is the upcoming Obsidian RPG. Of course, Obsidian has done everything from developing the South Park RPGs that I really enjoyed. Of course, one of my favorite games of all time, Fallout New Vegas, was actually Obsidian and not Bethesda.
Interesting.
Now Obsidian is making Avowed, which of course naturally, because it's a medieval kind of game, fantasy medieval, people have been like, oh well, Obsidian did their Fallout, now they're doing their Skyrim or Elder Scrolls. But no, everything that I've seen and obviously it has that fantasy setting, but it'll play completely different than Elder Scrolls. And I'm excited for it looks more like, at least mechanically, more Fallout than Elder Scrolls to me, which is good. So it'll be very hands-on sort of a thing.
You just reminded me, have you... Actually, hold that thought.
Thank you, JBZ21, for your generous super chat. Is Matt finished with his film? I
think I know the latest update.
Do you know the update on this?
So the last I heard, and good question, JBZ, I have not asked Matt for an update on this in a year, so I don't know if anything's changed. But my understanding was Kingsblade was finished, and they initially started as a film, but they decided to basically make it the pilot for a TV show. And Matt and his producer and director have been in the process of trying to shop it to a large streaming platform to pick it up. Because the way it works is a lot of times you make a trailer that's kind of a draft or a pilot, and then you shop it to a whole bunch of streaming platforms, and then if somebody likes it, they buy it, and then they remake it and flesh it out. So the last I heard, they're in that long, drawn-out process that takes a few years of trying to pitch it to some group. And I don't really know if there's been any update on that. But next time I talk to him, I'll ask. So thank you very much for the super chat, and thanks for asking.
No, and obviously good on Matt, because he obviously wants to get a project started that is going to go in, the directions he wants it to go. I think that, that's where he perhaps differed at least a little bit from, I wanted to be able to do everything from the comfort of my own hometown. So, maybe, and not that, at one point I had ambitions, But no, but I have decided there's more important things to me personally, and that's I just wanted to like have a family and like do like YouTube do YouTube to its limit where it wouldn't interfere. Like let me tell you a little story really briefly. I'm not going to go into all details, but it's like I've been to LA many times. I didn't like who I'd have to become down there in order to be a success, so I stayed here. Sorry. Like anyways, but obviously I have a really good thing going on. Sam can tell you all about it. Right, Sam? What? Anyways, Chris, what are you looking forward to in this year?
I was going to say, actually, when you were talking about a medieval video game, there's one that just came out that I might be getting the name wrong. I think it's called Kingdom Come 2. Does that sound familiar? It's like this big medieval epic that everybody's been talking about. Does that sound familiar at all?
What?
Kingdom Come 2? Like a lot of people have been saying, it's felt like the closest to Skyrim since Skyrim, like a big open world medieval epic where you're a knight and you basically like. You haven't heard of this at all?
Have you heard
this bubble of the internet hasn't made it to you? My whole YouTube algorithm just got filled up with
Hey,
this.
if I haven't heard of it.
Oh, there it is. Yes, thank you. Zephos, Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. Yeah.
What a mouthful.
I'll tell you what, after we finish.
Is there a Kingdom Come Deliverance 1?
After we finish, I'll have to show you like a trailer for it, because when I watched it, I was like, this looks like the kind of thing that you'd be interested in, because a lot of people said that this is the like Elder Scrolls game they wished would come out. But it's by a different company.
I mean, we are going to get Elder Scrolls 6 eventually. So
anyway, all I did was I watched the IGN review of it, and it looked pretty good. The guy, you could tell he really cared about the game. He gave it a 9 out of 10, but like it wasn't like the guy like put like hours and hours into it, beat the whole thing, did all the side quests.
Chris, we should just make like a really cheap mobile app game and call it like Super Knight Epic Quest 5
Sonic and Knuckles
with
expansion
Knuckles,
pack.
or whatever, and it'll be like, what's funny? I'm not going to go down that whole rabbit hole, but like every single ad for mobile games is like that thing where it's like line 1, line 2, times 2 soldiers. You know exactly what I'm talking about. And they're not like that.
They're not even that.
And now they've gone like this full 360 thing where in the advertisements they're like, oh my god, they finally made the game that all the ads are doing. And then you play that game and it's still not that game. Those bastards.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Or like the game will start out that way, but then it'll be like every other mobile game and just be a stupid base building game that eventually you're going to have to spend $5 to get the perfect pickaxe so you don't have to wait 5 hours for your level 10 base to upgrade. You all know what I'm talking about.
Well said.
Curse mobile games. I will never play another mobile game ever again unless it's Bloons Mobile 6, the monkey popping one.
That you could play on PC though.
I think you can play Bloons. Bloons is the one where it's like tower defense, but it's monkeys throwing darts. I
love
that stuff.
Dude, I got really into that during the pandemic.
You know what's
like, I got
really
obsessed
good
with that game? That's really fun.
The best one of those actually is oh god, what is it? I've played it so much. It's a tower defense game that's really simple. I love tower defense, by the way. We used to make the StarCraft maps tower defense. Do you remember that?
That's right.
20 years ago. So Kingdom Rush, I think it's called Kingdom Rush, and they've made like Kingdom Rush 2 and Kingdom Rush Jungle, and I don't know, but the original Kingdom Rush is a great little simple tower defense game. That was fun. We've gone way off topic.
I mean, the funny thing is, anything's on topic for us because they're...
Rosalina, thank you so much for your super chat. Rosalina says, favorite stupid Mario Bros. Character?
Good question.
You go first.
Thank you for the super chat.
You go first.
You know what? So that it's not one of my own characters, I have to say Scott Masterson.
Oh, you know what?
And I feel like that's kind of cheating because
I'll
he's
say
such a
Scott
goofball.
Masterson, too.
But, I mean, because, like, how could you not like Scott?
God, I haven't seen Scott since...
his wedding.
His wedding, yeah. We always make...
Yeah.
Well, Scott's wedding.
But before that...
Congratulations to him.
Yeah, congratulations to Scott. You know, he used to pop into our stream. I mean, to be fair, we haven't streamed that much, but he was like pretty regular. He'd come in and be like, "Get yourself some gas money," and then he'd just leave. And
I think Scott. I think it was just so much fun to film with Scott. That's probably impressed upon.
Yeah.
I just, hope you had a great day.
Yeah, I mean, to this day, it was I think it was episode 22. So that was the season 2 episode where we first introduced Scott as Scott Masterson. It was the 3-parter. That was so fun. I mean, if you look at the bloopers of that video, like, you can tell we're having a blast. So anyway, that one's pretty good, but I'd say if we're not going with a comical character, if we're going with a serious one, gotta be the Darkness. I mean, you love
Well, I
playing the
mean,
Darkness.
if the question was who was my favorite character to play,
Yeah.
then it was Darkness. I think Scott was probably. It's still if I go back and watch any old episodes, if it doesn't have Scott in it, I don't care. Honestly,
Yeah, and
Scott or bust.
and then
yeah.
of course I really enjoyed personally playing Nox Decius, so that was fun getting to just be this over the top evil character. So, but yeah, that was a good question.
Yeah. Oh, and Mario says you suck at playing guitar. I love it. Scott is such a joy, such a treasure.
That's good.
Sometimes he pops in chat.
That's what I was saying. We haven't seen him for a
If
while.
only he was here now.
But then I realized we just haven't streamed that much. But when we were streaming consistently, like every Saturday, he knew like, oh, I can expect them on Saturdays. So we'll have to.
It's too
get back to
bad that like Matt and Scott, they couldn't join us for this stream. It's too bad they're not just in the next room waiting to pop in by surprise. They're not. They're not here.
Your sister literally.
But wouldn't it be crazy if they were?
I was
They're
going
not.
to say, your sister literally did barge in on the stream, which was
I
hilarious.
know, that was great.
It was like an episode out of like Seinfeld or something.
I just wanted to do that joke where it's like, wouldn't it be crazy if they were here? They're not. Like you think they're gonna.
You think they're gonna, but they're not. Yeah.
I actually stole that joke from Harry Styles. I'm not gonna lie. Hey, that's one of the very few modern pop performers that I actually know something about. He was on SNL a couple years ago, and he was like playing the piano, and he's like, some of you might remember my band One Direction, and the audience is like, yeah, and he's like, wouldn't that be crazy if they were right here? And they're like, yeah, and he's like, they're not. And
Oh,
his face just went deadpan. He's like,
I
they're
see.
not.
Yeah. I hear ya.
It was a great little funny moment. I'm not a fan of One Direction or whatever, but I liked the
That's a good
joke.
bit.
I stole the joke. Sorry, Harry, who's watching. No, he's not. Anyways, favorite character to play was the Darkness, just because I got to be, the Joker, basically.
That's
but,
true.
I can't watch it the same way that I played it, because when I'm playing the character, I did a lot of there were some times where I'd stick pretty close to the script, but other times I'd go a little off book, especially with my tweaks and weird, like, ooh, did you know, Mario? I got to just be Tim Chang about it. You guys probably don't even get that reference.
I get that reference.
But apologies to Tim if you're what. But I love my friend Tim Chang so much. He's such a cool guy. He's just like, well, you guys remember he played Kamek on the show. Like he's just like, oh, well, like he's such a great guy. Love him to death. Tim, if you're watching, which you're not, love you to death. But when I'm watching episodes, it's got to be Scott or bust.
Scott or bust.
Okay. So we've been going. Wow, we've been going strong for 75 minutes. It didn't even feel like it. Where did the time go?
It flew by.
Does anybody? If anybody else has any impertinent information?
If you have any questions you want to guarantee we'll answer, now's your last chance to send in a super chat. But
Otherwise, Super Bowl predictions. Now, I already said that it was just in time before we got to football.
Thank you.
JBZ21 Super Chat, thank you so much, says, what Matt is doing is awesome. Was there other ideas you had before you decided on Plumber Night? Oh, plenty. Plenty of ideas. And I will briefly go through them because I think I've gone through some of them before. I remember we talked about, the funny thing is that we eventually did do Stupid Mario World, which was the main alternative.
That's right, yeah.
It was like either we can do a direct continuation of Stupid Mario, but at the time, I really didn't want to do season 6, or whatever. I was like, it'll be like kind of like a spiritual successor in some way. And at this point, I hadn't even thought of, so remember the first episode of Plumber Night is something I had written like a year earlier.
Yeah.
And it's kind of been floating through my mind for a while. Like it'd be a cool concept to have like Mario as like the Batman type persona for some reason. I was really into Frank Miller's The Dark Knight Returns as a kid, and so I really like that concept of like the embattered hero coming out of retirement to give it one last go. And at the time, that's kind of like how I felt about the series. It's like we'd let the series go already, and it was like, well, obviously we can't just do a season 6. If it's coming back, it has to come back with a twist. So, I can't remember. We floated some ideas back and forth. Matt even had a crazy idea that was really good that I can't remember. We had also pitched him the idea of doing Wario's World.
That's
where it was just a spinoff because,
Oh, man.
I remember at the time being pretty tired of. not necessarily playing Mario, but I really wanted to focus on writing and directing, and I thought maybe give Matt a chance to just kind of do his Wario thing. It's funny, if I could go back in time, I would probably just make a show about a different character that Matt could play that wasn't Wario or Mario related at all. But alas, we went with Plumber Knight because it just seemed like too good of a concept, I think, to not do. And I said it's something where if we do it well, it'll be really cool.
Yeah, and JBZ, I was going to say, it's a good question. So we probably had quite a few ideas that we were bouncing around. Some maybe we were considering seriously. Some it was just like it got mentioned once. But ultimately, regardless of what ideas we had, Plumber Knight was the best. Because you have to remember, this was back in 2014, so we're fresh off of all the Christopher Nolan Batman movies. Batman was still really popular. Avengers had just come out a couple years earlier, so kind of superhero movies were peak. So trying to combine Batman with Mario and blend them together, it was very fun to do that. So I do think that out of any ideas we did have at that time, Plumber Knight was the best, and I'm glad we made it because I was
I remember one thing, and I'll give a shout out to our friend Claudia who played Pauline on the show, is that me and her, I don't know if you remember this, me and her kind of came up with this other superhero concept. Do you remember, like, she had the drawings and everything?
Vaguely,
It was like, it was kind of inspired of this was, obviously they've made a recent-ish Power Rangers movie, but this was before that. I loved the Power Rangers as a kid, and we kind of came up with this concept, which was close in themes to Plumber Knight, because it was about a team like the Power Rangers that were now adults, and they hadn't done it for like 10 years, 20 years, and now they're all like, embattered adults. One of them died, that's why they quit, A lot of that would actually carry over into Plumber Knight with like Luigi dying and Mario quitting and everything. But I remember coming up with this whole concept of this team, and I really liked this idea of this team that like the world was going to end and they had to like come together for like one last Ranger battle to like destroy it. But it's like that would have been way too expensive. And then eventually we circled back to the Plumber Knight idea, which again, I think that at least the first season of Plumber Knight is pretty good. The second season was like, well, how do we do more of this? Didn't really have an idea for how it would continue, so whatever. Stupid Mario Legacy is still good, though, I think. That kind of wraps up the whole thing. And I still get people today that are like, oh, we didn't even know about it. If you didn't know, there's a movie that we made in 2017 called Stupid Mario Legacy, which wraps up Stupid Mario Brothers, The Plumber Knight Returns, Stupid Mario World, and all in one convenient movie. It's the end of the story. So if you haven't seen it, see it. What else? Sorry, what was that?
No, that was it. It was just...
Oh, what were the other ideas?
I don't think any of them we ever really were serious about. It's like I said, we were kind of spitballing. Because remember, we made Plumber Knight in 2014, so it had been 2 years since Stupid Mario Bros. Had ended. We had been doing That Stupid Video Game Show, which was a bunch of just sketch comedy that was loosely related. We were doing YouTube News. We brought that back. We did Smashing
we never
stuff.
did do the YouTube News movie. I remember Matt came up with a concept for a YouTube News movie that I thought was actually really cool, but I was like, we don't have 20 race cars. So don't ask me about it.
So I would say basically at that point it was Stupid Video Game Show, so random sketch comedy.
We've gone through so many different phases.
YouTube News and Smashing stuff. So it had been 2 years since we had done a full-fledged series, because I remember season 5 of Stupid Mario Bros. Came out and ended in 2012. So it had been about 2 years, but I think that it turned out pretty good. Plumber Knight, glad we made it. So just to recap the streams so far, we talked about Switch 2 and our thoughts on it. We talked about the Super Bowl a little bit, Jurassic Park, Fantastic Four, anime, just random nostalgia about Stupid Mario Bros. So for those of you who have been watching the whole time, it's been a good one.
Before we get interrupted by another super chat, and please do if you want.
We love those interruptions, by the way.
I want to talk about my Super Bowl predictions.
Oh, right.
Again, I do overall think that the Eagles will win. Because, again, you can't have a game where you're beating the team 55 to whatever.
Well, aren't the Chiefs predicted, at least in the betting odds, to have a slight edge?
because the Chiefs are going to.
Oh, you're saying that's not it could just be they're
That's
more popular.
biased. That's just biased.
Not necessarily
yeah.
that they're
No,
better.
the Eagles will win. I do think that it'll be close. I think the final score will be something like 31-27 Eagles, right? I think that, the Chiefs will try to do their thing where they're like, we're going to win at the last second for no reason. We're even going to change football rules to win, Talking about last year's Super Bowl. But it's not going to work this time, and the Eagles are going to take home that Lombardi. I think the Chiefs might be winning it overtime, and then the Eagles will come back stronger in the second half. That's what I'm thinking. That's it. That's all we have to say about that.
We'll see. Well, you guys will find out in about a day.
I don't know if I have anything else to talk about, Chris. What else can we MacGuffin in here?
I think we've pretty much covered everything. I mean, I'm just really excited about, the Switch, the movies, and more anime. All the stuff that we talked. Hey, look at this. The cat just jumped in.
It's Toki. Toki.
You want to face the other way so they don't
see
your
cat
butt?
Hey, cat butt.
There we go.
It's Toki. Toki. Precious, precious Toki.
Well, I think that pretty much wraps up everything I wanted to chat about. Did you want to, before we call it, did you want to do like a free-for-all and see if there's any non-super chat things people want to chat about, or did you want to wrap it up? How you feeling? Like a blitz Q&A?
Look what you did to Mr. Bigglesworth.
We've been going for 83 minutes.
That? Or do I want to wrap up?
Oh, no, I was just saying, do you want to wind down here, or did you want to do like a final like generic Q&A for anybody, like any non-super chatters?
Oh, yeah, we could do 5 minutes of just open questions.
All right, so
yeah,
we're opening
sure.
up to anyone. So if you have any question, as
Good
long
idea.
as it's interesting, free for all. So ask your questions now. We'll do just an open house Q&A.
Honestly, that should kind of be the rule for all streams going forward. It's like if you have a question, you can either wait till the last 5 minutes where we'll do a little bit of Q&A, or you could super chat at any time and we'll answer your question now. What do you guys think of that? If you like that idea and RichAlvarez is smart, put a 1 in the comments. This cat is attacking me.
Oh, there we go. Well, I guess maybe we could start with Dynamite, even though I don't see a question mark. Make sure to put a question mark in so we know it's a question. They said, before you go, is the King Arthur series possible? Now, do you mean
Like our old King
our
Arthur
old
series?
King Arthur
or
series,
like
or do
making
you
a
mean
new
like
one?
making a new one, or do you mean is there going to be like one by Hollywood? Either way, would we make one? Probably not. Is Hollywood going to make a better one? Maybe.
Maybe.
You never know. Rosalina asked, favorite Pixar film? That's a good question.
Oh, Wall-E, without question. I think that's hands down.
That's
best.
tough.
There's only one post-apocalyptic robot-centered Pixar movie, Chris. It's not hard.
Yeah, no, I was going to
Oh my
say,
God.
I feel like as a kid, it was probably the original Toy
She
Story.
wants all the love.
Toy Story 1. As I got older, I really liked Inside Out, Feelings Having Feelings. So that was pretty good.
Inside Out's pretty good.
Son of a Sith didn't ask a question, but they said they found the $20 Matt
$20?
commercial. It was Ronnie Deutsch.
Yeah, Ronnie Deutsch, $20.
But that's awesome that you found that. Terrence just said, good afternoon, Rich and Chris. Well, good afternoon to you, too.
Good afternoon.
That's actually a really good question. Jordan said, what is something you currently find a lot of joy in?
Trying to get this cat off my lap comes to mind.
I mean, there's like your more serious answer,
It's
which
funny
is
because
like,
we're getting a lot of people joining now. It's like,
Yeah.
it's that magic like 86 minutes in and all of a sudden people start joining your live chat.
yeah, I would say, Jordan, a more serious answer to that question would be like spending time with loved ones, like friends and family. But a more lighthearted question would be all the anime I'm recently discovering that I've missed out on over the past 5 years.
Sam asked a question. What do you think of Severance? Have you seen Severance, by the way?
No, you were talking,
It's-
or was Andy? Somebody was talking about
It's
that.
a great show.
Yeah.
It's on Apple TV. I know not a lot of people have Apple TV, but it is produced by Ben Stiller. He's not in the show, but he produces the show, and it stars Adam Scott. I won't even spoil the concept. It's part of the experience is like finding out what the show is about. It's sort of sci-fi and mysterious, and it's funny but also tense. That's all I'm going to say about it. You're going to have to check it out on your own. It's a really, really good show with a haunting theme, but it's not scary. It's just interesting. Yeah.
Very good. Dynamite, thank you for watching and appreciate. I think you super chatted earlier, but either way, thank you for tuning in today. Okay, Rosalina says, have you seen Inside Out 2? I have not, which is a real shame because I like the first one so much. Did you like Inside Out 2?
I really liked Inside Out 2. I think it's better than the first one.
Very good. Next question. Tim Rogers says, what did y'all think of Beetlejuice 2? I have not seen that.
I didn't see it either. I love the first one, but the second one, I just, for whatever reason or another, haven't gotten around to yet. Ow.
And he leaves. Or she.
Whenever you see, it's like she gets stuck to my pants or my shirt, and I try to get her off, and then she bites me, and then I let her go. I have nicer cats. They're just too shy to be on stream.
Jordan asked, did you guys hear about Rooster Teeth's return? Were you guys ever fans of Rooster Teeth? I did actually see they came back recently, and I think they're the guys who made the red versus blue Halo machinima
way back in the day, yeah.
I was never super into them, but I do remember people like talking about that. So I would say I'm loosely aware of them, and I was maybe a casual fan, but that's cool that they're back.
Rosalie says, who's better, Tifa Lockhart or Chun-Li? Tifa Lockhart, you know. But like better in what way? Like, like who kicks more butt? I mean, you know, obviously Chun-Li can do that thing where she turns upside down and goes, whoa, you know, like does the spin wheel thing. Mm-hmm. But then like also Tifa can summon Bahamut. So, you know, like what are you going to do? I think if they're in a fight, Tifa wins just because of magic.
Now, Son of a Sith is asking about a new Spider-Man show. I have not been in the loop. What do you know what they're referring to?
What was the question?
They said, have you seen the new Spider-Man show? If so, what do you think?
The Spider-Man show, Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man on Disney Plus. It's a new cartoon.
Oh, it's a cartoon.
I haven't gotten around to it yet, but I will watch it eventually. Of course, if Spider-Man's my, if not one of my favorites, perhaps my favorite, I don't know, Marvel character. But I feel like it's just like Spider-Man's everybody's favorite. So like the hipster in me wants to be like, I don't know, you know, it's like, but Spider-Man is really great, you know.
Rosalina asks favorite Batman movie or villain. Sorry.
I want to say the Riddler, and not necessarily the Paul Dano version we just got in that movie, although that was a really cool take on it. I mean, it's going to sound crazy, but I think that Jim Carrey's Riddler from Batman Forever is just imprinted on my mind. And even though that's a really goofy interpretation of the character, I love Jim Carrey and what he, like, you know, his craziness about it. Also a great character on the cartoon, but I'd be lying if I didn't say, you know, the Joker, especially by Mark Hamill on the cartoon show, you know, is probably best. Mm-hmm. JBZ21, thank you for your generous super chat. How is Julian doing? Did you know that he played a great Snake? Thank you. Yes, he did, of course, play Snake. How's Julian doing? Last I heard, he's doing good. You know, and that's all I know about that, you know. Sadly, adult life can get a little complicated, and maybe I don't check in on my friends as much as I should. But yeah, I mean, I think he's doing okay.
I thought it was kind of funny. Dynamite said they had to go, and now they're back. And they said, will there be any new SMB content? You know, I'm going to say the same thing we pretty much always say, which is probably not. Because
but we also said that before Plumber Night.
I mean, unless some... Probably not. But, you know, never say never. Rich... Sam asked a question that would actually be, depending on if you wanted to broach that or not, quite the way to
honestly,
end the stream. Do you want to do that now or
another
time?
I've been limited by how much Sam wants me to get into about personal information.
Do you want to save that for another time?
I'll just say this. Sam, if you are okay with disclosing certain personal information, I think that that's something that you should come out here and say yourself. Show yourself! So, I don't know. What do you want me to say?
I don't know. You don't have to.
But I don't know which...
Yeah, I know. It's a mystery to us all.
Okay, well, I'm not sure which one of the two, but I'll say both, and you can stop me if I'm saying too much. So, obviously... not obviously. Maybe you guys don't know. So, you know... I think some of you are aware of, you know, my life, you know, because I've been on front of your eyes for a long time. I've even given away some personal information in the past. Not like my social security number, but you know what I mean? Like just certain things about my life. You know, I was a boy. I became a man. And
Okay, stop, you're gonna
I
get
got, I got married, I got divorced, and now I got married again. So some of you might not realize that I got married in December to Sam, and we are now married.
Nailed it.
But what you might not know is that she is also pregnant. That's right.
Yay.
I'm going to be
Rich is going to be a dad.
a actual father, and not just a father to this little piece of shit right here.
So you guys didn't realize you were going to get some major Rich Alvarez lore dropping at the end of the stream. Sam, did you want to say anything? All right, here we go. I'm going to... I'll scooch over so you can sit next to Rich. Come around.
Sam's pregnant.
And I'm going to move the camera back a little bit
Oh no.
so we can all sit down. And I'm going to give you the microphone. Do you want to say something?
I don't. The rumors are true. I am with child. It is. That's it. And we're married. So yeah, yay! And
I like-
this cat.
Adric says, I let out an actual gasp. Congratulations. I know, like, Toki's just evil cat now on my lap.
Yeah. So very, very soon we will be with baby.
Yes.
Yeah.
There is an old clip that I have somewhere on, like, one of my YouTube channels, or maybe it's on my dad's, where I'm a baby, right? And I'm crawling around in my red overalls as a baby, and people are like, oh, it foretells the future. It's funny. So, yeah, obviously I've gotten a lot of those baby Mario jokes, son of a Sith, just like, but no, this is actually going to be a little girl. In fact,
She can wear red overalls.
I mean, she can wear red overalls if she wants, but she wouldn't necessarily be Mario. She might be Maria.
Marie.
Hey, Marie, like every other Italian girl, right? Hey, Marie.
That's not her name, but
Her name's not Marie.
no. But we always joke about that. Anyway,
She does have a name, and I don't know if you want to say that.
it's up to you.
It's up to me. You're the one that was like, I don't want you to give the baby's name on live stream.
I do not talk like that. You are welcome to share what you want to share.
I think it's fine to say,
Sure.
because if Matt Pat can talk about his kid on stream, then
You
so
just
can
like
I.
did a gust of cat
Yeah,
hair.
cat
that just
hair going everywhere. Jeez, Toki.
cat hair sprinkling.
This cat sucks. She peed in the corner. And, like, we cleaned out all the litter boxes for her, and she still pees in the corner.
Are you gonna talk about the baby that way? This kid sucks. She
Yeah,
pees all the
she got
time.
Anyways, yes. So Sam's pregnant. It's a girl. Woo! And her name is going to be Ripley, based on the character Ripley, Ellen Ripley from the Alien franchise. Middle name Rosemary, after my mom, and so we'll be casually or more referring to her as Ripley Rose. And that is what we have decided on. Ripley Rosemary Alvarez.
It's a big name.
Why can't you name her Peach?
No! Ew.
Well, anyway, I just want to say
Ew.
congratulations, you two. Rich, you've been on quite the journey, but it sounds like you did find your princess in the end.
Aw, thanks, Chris.
I'm no princess.
But for real, congratulations to Rich and Sam and their upcoming baby girl. And yeah, it's been quite the journey, and we're all very excited to see what happens next.
I think we know what's gonna happen.
I think what'll happen next is there's gonna be a baby.
He's just gonna be a baby. That's what's gonna happen. So, yeah.
Wait, people are saying R cubed. Oh, because Ripley Rose.
Oh yeah, well, it would be squared.
Squared, right.
Yeah.
Anyways, anything else, Chris?
I think that we ended it on quite the note. I think that's a great way to wrap stuff up with the wonderful news that Rich is married and Rich and Sam will be parents of a new baby girl soon.
Sam, you just got here. Is there anything you wanted to
Uncle
say?
Chris.
No, there's nothing. Okay. Well, Chris, unless you have anything else to talk about, I don't know what else.
I mean, I think that that's a great note to end on. We've been going for an hour and a half, so would you like to end us with a subscribe voice?
Please subscribe. It's free and easy.
You were thinking what I was thinking, weren't you? I know you were thinking what I was thinking.
Just like subscribing to the RichAlvarez channel.
Okay.
Anyways.
Anyway, with that said, Have a wonderful day.
And an even more pleasant tomorrow.
All right, now I got to get up and turn the stream off. So
Oh,
Rich,
wait. Hold on.
Oh.
We have to, before you close out, Chris, I have to end the stream with a nice little ballad. I'll be right back.
Oh, you got your instrument. Yeah, I was going to say we started this with a song, so it's only fitting that we end it with a song.
Right. This is my ukulele, by the way. It's stained blue. And my sister Christine was nice enough to get me this dinosaur strap that matches the dinosaur strap on her ukulele. So, hey, if you have a song request, you better put it now because I'm only going to do like 1 or 2 songs. Okay. What should I play, Chris?
Somewhere Over the Rainbow. That's the classic.
Oh, God. I couldn't remember the chords, though, when I tried last time, though. I think it's F after that. Somewhere over the rainbow, way up high, see, high, there. Different song, Chris?
Freebird.
Not Freebird.
What song do you feel the most comfortable playing?
Mama, take this bat from me. I can't take it anymore. It's getting hard, too dark to see. Feels like I'm knocking on heaven's door. I always start as the Bob Dylan and then go into the Guns N' Roses version for some reason. Hey, knock, knock, knocking on heaven's door. Hey, knock, knock, knocking on heaven's door.
Now, Joe Jackson, Stepping Out.
Oh, God, what are even the chords of that? Stepping out into the light, into the night, now. The glass upon the window hides the light. Da-da-da-da. I forget the words there. So divine. Get into a car and drive to the other you, babe. Stepping out into the night, into the light. Oh, thank you, JBZ21. Play So Far Away by Carole King. Now, that's something I can definitely play on my keyboard. I could probably figure it out on the uke if you just give me one moment. Hey, there's a super chat for a song, Chris.
Did this just turn into a music request stream? All right, let just one, because I was what I was gonna say is if you want to do a music stream, I think that should be a separate.
I haven't
stream.
done one in like 2 years.
But thank you for the super chat, JBZ. Just real quick. So Rich and I both recently got into that song, Joe Jackson's Stepping Out. And Joe Jackson is not to be confused by the father of Michael Jackson, who's also called Joe Jackson. Joe Jackson is a British singer who made a song called Stepping Out in the 80s that sounds very similar to the Super Mario Kart music, which Koji Kondo might have been inspired by. But it's a very catchy song. If you listen to it, you'll be like, oh, I heard that on the radio once.
Give me one moment, Chris. One moment, please.
So, Rich and I were watching different versions, different cover songs of Steppin' Out, and then we were watching some different performances of Steppin' Out, and it's very catchy. So, I think you guys, and the lyrics are pretty good too. It's about somebody who has been inside too much and decided it was time to go out. And I was kind of laughing because I was like, oh man, that would have been really relevant around 2020 for various reasons. You're busting out the keyboard.
Sorry, Chris, gonna use your leg there for a second.
Yeah, sure, why not?
Okay. Well, it was a super chat, so I have to oblige. So far away, doesn't anybody stay in one place anymore? It would be so fun to see your, I lost my place, face at my door. Go back to G. But it doesn't help to know that you're just time away. Long ago I reached for you and there you stood. Holding you again could only... I love that GA. Could only do me good. But how I wish I could. You're just time away. Yeah, 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 you're so far away. Okay, that's all I'll do for that. It's a great song.
Very nice.
But it kind of goes on for like 10 minutes.
Yeah, that was good. I'll tell you this, Rich. If you want to do a music stream, you should just set it up and do a stream that's dedicated specifically to music, and then maybe you could practice a few like go-tos, and then
Yeah, I could even use my kazoo.
if I'm here, I could chime in and do some harmonies.
That's good. But yeah, Steppin' Out by Joe Jackson. Look it up if you've never seen it. It's a great song.
It is a really good song. I love that so much.
You're
learn how
welcome,
to-
JBZ.
All right. On that note, I do think this is a good place to wrap up the stream. So, thank you again to everybody who tuned in. We really appreciate you guys watching. Thank you to everybody who super chatted. That was very generous. Thanks to everybody who gave this video a like. And thanks to Marty Man.
Marty Man,
who's
you're
jumping
here.
in at the very end. And
We were just about to end.
And thank you for being a member of the Rich Alvarez channel. So, now, with that said, we hope you all have a wonderful day.
And an even more pleasant tomorrow.
And as I'm logging off, Rich, you want to say something or sing us
Bye.
off or something? Yeah, there we go. All good.
I already
All
did
right.
the subscribe voice.
Thanks for watching, everybody. We'll see you next time. Peace out.